breathe. Welcome to the Talkin Kop, everybody. It is full-time match reaction time. I'm your host, Matt. I'm joined by Kev, Chris, and Ashley, as per usual. And we are going to talk through a fairly breathless game that finished in Paris somehow. PSG 0, Liverpool 1. Ashley, what a game. I mean, for a 1-0 game, there is so much to talk about through this match, was there not?
Yeah, I apologize to everyone. I think last night I said there'd be a lot of goal-mouth action. I meant for both teams. I didn't realize that it was just going to be so lopsided. But yeah, wow, is all I have to say. Like, that team that we just played hadn't lost since the 26th of November. That's a very, very good team. That was a big deal for us to get that point. And I don't care how we got it. I don't care if it was a smash and grab. I'm so proud of our team for doing that.
Yeah. I mean, Chris, I'm pretty sure you were the one that used the phrasing that was like a European away performance in either the City game or the Newcastle game. No, Chris. Yeah, this was a European away performance.
That was very, very Rafa Benitez or Gerard Houllier. I had vibes of Gerard Houllier away in Europe when we beat Roma 2-0. And if you see highlights of that game, that is very similar. Liverpool barely had the ball. Keep had to have a good game, and then they got two goals in the break. The other game it felt a bit like was when we beat City in the second leg at the Etihad in the year we got to the Kiev final. Yeah, in that one, we barely had to touch, But listen, I think a few in our chat, definitely a lot of our online fan base have woken up and realised PSG are a fucking good side, and was I surprised by that Tyler game? Not massively. I thought Liverpool would use the ball better than they did, and we can come into that, but I expected it to be a game that we had to ride it out really well because, they dominate the ball, and that front three pace is ridiculous. Kev nailed it the other night. That is very much Klopp 2.0, the way they play. It's fast, it's high pressing, and it disrupts your game. But to be fair to Liverpool, in the whole, they defended really well, and also this is why you have the world's best keeper, and we'll talk about both keepers, and you see why one is the best in the world and the other one is hype.
Yeah. There's a reason why one is called Donnarumma for taking the big money move to PSG. The impronounceable McGlinchey says, didn't think we had the minerals to grind hard-earned wins like that. This side, last few weeks have disproved that big time. And I mean, Kev, Chris mentioned, you guys talking about it last night on the preview show, and you said it before we came on air, like, that's easily the best opposition that Liverpool had played this year. And as McGlinchey points out, minerals, a hard-earned win.
Yeah, we won't play a better, more attacking, more cohesive side this season until we get to the final of the Champions League. If you get to the Champions League final, odds are it's going to be either Bayern Munich or Barcelona, one of those two. They're the other two sides who could probably rival what this PSG side have going forward. On the wings, they are so good. They're wingers. They have quick feet. They dribble. But they dribble with purpose. There was probably 3 or 4 times that balls were whipped in across the box and they couldn't get anyone in on them and rode our luck massively at times. And yeah, Alisson made some really good saves, a couple of camera saves in there as well, but a few really good saves. And all in all, defensively, you need to ride your luck. You need to be lucky. And sometimes it's better to be lucky than to be good. And tonight we were lucky. And we nicked one at the end, but I always felt that there was a goal on the counter in it for us because of the way they commit players going forward. And the change of bringing Darwin on made a massive difference. Big aerial threat, the one thing you notice about their two centre-backs, Marquinhos and Pacho, is they're not very tall. And as long as you can win the second ball, that's everything. Most of the time when we were getting the ball forward, we were losing the second ball and they were coming onto us. But it was a clear tactic from the very first minute, from the very first goal kick, was go direct, go long. I don't think we could count on one hand the amount of times we tried to play out from the back because their press is relentless. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a few of them going to be going in for piss tests at the end of this game because they were like the Energizer Bunny. Every single one of them. They just kept going and going and going and going and going. And the change they made from the bench, the same thing again. They just kept up the same momentum. They are a really good side. And we still come away with the win 1-0. Happy fucking days. Happy days. I mean, I'll tell you what, there's going to be an awful lot of people who are going to go back through their WhatsApp groups and go back through their Twitter feed and their Telegram posts up until about 3 minutes to go and look back on it at the end of the season and go, yeah, do you remember that night when? You win football games all kind of ways. The game is 95 minutes long, and it doesn't matter whether you win it in the first minute or the last minute. Just fucking win it. And we did. We did our job.
That's right. And as you pointed out in our little show chat when the whistle blew there, Kev, it's only halftime. So there's still
that's it.
At least another 90 minutes of this to go, but it's going to be on our home patch. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to next week. I mean, Ashley, the lineup comes out, and I believe the statistic I saw was this is the 6th time this season that Arne Slot has picked this exact starting 11. And Jurgen Klopp, in his 9 years, never once picked the same starting 11 6 times. I don't know if that's true or not. I saw it on the internet, so it's a coin flip 50-50.
It's probably true.
That's an outrageous stat, Ashley. Like, this is – I don't even know if this is Arne Slot's preferred 11, but he's clearly gone with it a fair number of times with Jota leading the line. But the midfield three, the back four, and, of course, the holy goalie who will get a lot of talk. Do not worry. Those, like, with the exception of Jota at center forward, 10 out of that 11 is nailed down. That is our best.
So. I think so. And I don't know who, it might have been Kev last night that said, there's nothing unpredictable about our lineup these days. I think the only question was it going to be that 4-2-2-2 or was it going to be the 4-3-3? So the question was it Jones starting or was it Jota starting? I mean, outside of that, it's pretty predictable. I think there are definitely areas that he's going to want to strengthen in, but I think for him, that's his strongest team going forward. And I wasn't mad at it. I was a little bit surprised that he went with the kind of more aggressive of the two lineups, I guess, in my perspective. I think we could have used that extra body in midfield earlier in the game because there was just so much going on in there. It felt like McAllister was man-marking Dembele, and then Gravenberch was left with so much work to do. He just looked like he was being run ragged. And yeah, I'm just that surprised me more than anything else. But I don't know. I mean, I was okay with it. Were you guys okay with it?
Chris, I mean, in retrospect, maybe you could say because we did look better when we made the change and we brought Jones on, took off an attacker for another midfielder. But I mean, I think that just comes down to Curtis Jones being much sharper than everybody else there. If we speak about it just in wholes, Chris, our midfield today was poor. Like, I love that three in our midfield of Gravenberch, McAllister, and Szoboszlai. And I said to you guys in our chat that Szoboszlai looks like he's feeling those 5 straight 90s because he was just slow on the ball to everything. But McAllister and Gravenberch weren't any better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I fully agree on he's feeling those 5 90s. That's 6 days off, so that's more than enough rest for that run of games. And Gravenberch has played pretty much similar number of minutes. We just didn't quite have. It was more the possession on the ball that pissed me off with how they played. Because I think off the ball we got around them and we cut down as many opportunities as we could. Some of the shots that Alisson saved, like Kev rightly said, they were a bit Hollywoody or routine. But he made some big saves. But also credit to Szoboszlai, I think in the first half is when they eventually do get it past Alisson, he clears one in front of goal. So it's a hard game to judge because I just think it's one of those big, difficult European away games. And I don't know, maybe because I'm in my 40s, I'm like, I've seen that sort of game before where Liverpool have got a draw or got a win. Juventus in 05, and there's a few, Chelsea away a couple of years ago when we got a 0-0 in 05. It just feels like one of them. So I'm a bit like, I kind of expected this sort of game. And to us, that midfield three they've got is really, really good. And just on the night, I think it was a little bit on the night, they showed better form than we did. what this Liverpool side has started to learn to do, and I think we talked about it at the beginning of the season, is they seem to quite enjoy the fight. They seem to quite enjoy this grinding it out if they have to. I think they'd rather not. I think they'd rather play nice attacking football. But I think that's something that we probably lost definitely in the last year of Klopp. We probably lost that little bit of grinding results out. And so, listen, I love games like this when you win them 1-0 because you've really ground it out. You've really earned it. It feels like a big win. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. Listen, I don't want to do it every week. I'm hoping for the Anfield game it was a better performance than this.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kev, the other way of looking at it is that's 3 clean sheets in a row by Liverpool. That's away to Man City, that's home to Newcastle, and away to PSG with no goals conceded, I believe. I'm getting that correct. In our last 3 games. And come the business end of the season, that's not a bad thing to see developing in this team again, is the ability to hold on to a lead. Because Chris said we lost that at the end of the Klopp era. We kind of lost that for a bit in the December-January period under Arne Slot of this season. But we got it back again. And today was not a great day for the defenders when you just look at the highlight pack. But as a whole, I mean, we got a clean sheet. We obviously defended well enough. Like, we weren't giving up massive chances, even though we were giving up a ton of chances.
Yeah, look, I take the clean sheet bit with a bit of a pinch of salt, because if all things are equal, they probably do get a couple. It's a last ditch tackle. It's a questionable decision by a referee. It's their midfield is really good at what they do, which is move the ball quickly. You can't really, if you're going to press them and be aggressive in midfield, you're leaving 3 wingers v 4 defenders almost isolated all the time, assuming Robertson and Trent hold their position all the time, which they won't, because they'll, on a transition, one of them is going to go. So I think we probably just decided we stood off it. And there were times when it was, if you lunged in, you were going to get beaten. I think Robertson in the first half early lunged in on Dembele, and he got past him really easily. And then he skipped past McAllister as well, put a cross in and cleared it. But I think that was probably enough for Robertson to say, yeah, if I commit, I've got to commit whole hog and either commit a foul if he's going to get past me, or stand off. And it was one or the other.
I think Trent did the same thing, didn't he, with Barcola?
Yeah,
I think Barcola did him once like that, and he went, right, yep, okay, can't do it that way.
It's almost like, okay, you're one of them.
Yeah,
you can't get tight to some of these players, and sometimes you just got to hold your position, hold your nerve, and if they're running at you, just jockey back and try to usher them to one side and get a tackle in when you can. There was plenty of times tonight. Trent and Robertson got in and nicked the ball away, and made a couple of last, just either bobbing out for a corner or went out for a throw, whatever. It's back to the wall stuff, and you ride your luck, as I said. But I honestly think that midfield 3 of Vitinha, Ruiz, and Neves is as balanced and as good as anything you'll ever come up against. And sometimes you just hats off and respect the opposition and what they're good at. Will they do that at Anfield? I don't know. I think the only thing you could kind of say about it, going with the second leg in the back of your mind, is because we've got a lead now, there's the second leg could go a multitude of ways. You get a second, anything, they've got a mountain to climb. And again, they're young, and this is all brand new for a lot of them. So
it's a shame that they got pulled against us, because I feel like they could go really far in this competition. I don't want them to go far.
No.
But it is a shame that you don't get to, I don't know. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but I don't know. I feel like,
I said, that result today felt a bit like, thinking back about it, PSG probably feel how we felt after the Champions League final in Paris. Because I thought Champions League final in Paris, we were like that. We were, but how good was Courtois? And that's why you have Courtois, and then one of their players nicks it at the end. That's just what Real Madrid do. Yes. Brilliant, well done.
That's a really good point.
We've basically done the same thing. which is where you go, that's why you have Alisson. You ride your luck, but then the one chance you get, you take. Did any of us think it'd be Harvey Elliott? Probably not. But fair fucks to the lad. He took his chance.
Yeah, I would imagine the traveling Liverpool fans, if they didn't know the French words for fucking Alisson, you'll hear it leaving the stadium tonight.
Oh,
how good was he? Yeah.
It was just
like we were with
outstanding.
Courtois.
It made me think so much how nice it is to be on the opposite end of going to Paris and having a goalkeeper pull out a game like that you're left going, how the fuck don't we score? Like, how don't we score? And it's because
it wasn't long ago that some of our fan base were saying, I think Alisson's on the wane, I think this might be time for him. Like, class of permanence. You knew he'd bounce back from a slight dip. And again, it was a slight dip. It wasn't the end of the world that some were making out it to be. And big game, big boy stood up.
Yeah, Ashley, it did not feel that the way this show was going to go was going to be like this, because it's 19 minutes in, and Ousmane Dembele, who at this point, their front three was very fluid in their positioning. It seemed like they took turns in each of the positions. You saw Kvaratskhelia in the center, on the right, on the left. Dembele really started to come into his own about 15 minutes into the game. He skins Robertson and McAllister, and then Neves hits the roof of the net, and then a couple minutes later, they have a corner. The ball comes back out. I would have bet dollars to donuts that Vitinha was shooting that ball. He sold that fake shot, and then he fizzes the ball into Kvaratskhelia, and holy hell, what a finish on, I believe, his weaker left foot.
Doesn't have
a weak foot?
No.
I don't even know.
I don't think he does.
They showed one replay for me, and I immediately went, he looks offside.
I mean, it was like a toenail.
It was his back heel. His back heel.
It was so close. What a finish. If anything, like, this game just kind of put the seal on how much I really would have liked to have him. To see him play against us, I feel like kind of illuminated just how good he is, because there were times where there were multiple people in our team that just couldn't deal with him. And it is very reminiscent of when our forwards are on their day. Like, they've got that interchangeability of the front line. It felt very similar to that. It felt like we were facing us on a really good day. And we did not necessarily have that really good day in the front line. So I had a little bit of frontline envy, I guess, watching their players. Just like the fluidity. It looks like overall that team has been really well recruited for over the last 2 or 3 years. They've lost some really big names, obviously losing Mbappe, losing Neymar, lots of different players have been there. The way that they've recruited has been really smart. They've spent a lot of money. I don't think it's been penny pinching recruitment, but it looks like a really well-balanced, really smartly recruited team. And I'm very jealous of that.
But offside is still offside.
And offside's offside.
Yeah.
Offside is, it doesn't, there's no such thing as an unfair offside.
I felt for Gravenberch in that situation because he can go left or right. The only thing I think Gravenberch could do is he could probably try to get a bit closer, but he tries to get a leg up to cut it out. It's just a really good shift from Kvaratskhelia onto his left foot, and it was a really good shot, really good finish, marginally offside. So you can credit Liverpool getting out, because that's the gamble. That is the gamble. When you win your ball from a corner, everyone pushes out. The gamble is if they get one right in over the top, there's nothing you can do about it. You either got to back yourself all to get out in a line and hope that it's enough. And this time it was enough, just. If I think they started really well. I always felt through the first half, and I felt right the way through the game. I said it before we come on air. We get one ball right through midfield, and I think that's half the reason why Szoboszlai wasn't as deep defending as everyone else, because you had to have an out ball. You had to have some kind of a release valve. If we got one ball right through midfield, you were in, because their fullbacks were both gone. Sometimes they were leaving 3 back, but in the majority of cases, when they got into our final third, Nuno Mendes went as well. So it was 2v1 all the time, and Jota just never had the pace to get away from him. So
there's more than that he didn't have tonight, though.
Hey?
There was more than that Jota didn't have tonight.
I know, but that's not his game. His game is not. He's not going to run away from a speedy centre back like Pacho. But again, it's what do you do? You know, I think you couldn't really start Darwin, even though Darwin is probably the smarter option based on current form. You'd have to go with Jota because he's the one that looks more likely that if he gets a chance, he's the one that looks like he could score it. You know, where you couldn't trust Darwin to take that one chance. You know, and I don't know, it's just one of them. I think you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. I think you flip your coin. We got both lineups right last night when we picked it, and we got the lineups right because they pretty much picked themselves. You know, and I just thought right the way through the first half, even though they were dominating the ball and their wingers were causing loads of problems, and some of their passing and interplay was really good, I always felt that you get one counter right, and you're right in at them. You know, and that was the gamble that we took. We left Szoboszlai up closer to Jota, so at least he could be that link. You know, on another night, would you start Endo with McAllister and Gravenberch and just really defend? I don't think you can because...
I mean, we really defended already.
Yeah.
It was great, I guess. Like, it was great from a defensive perspective. Like, we did our job, but, like, I don't know how much deeper we could have gotten. Like, we had one shot on target all game. We had 32% possession or 37% possession, depending on when in the game you looked at it. Like, we gave them the ultimate level of respect. Mm-hmm. We absolutely knew what they had in terms of firepower, and we sat back. I mean, I think we look at it now, you know, with the benefit of hindsight, looking at Jones and looking at Endo in the end of the game, but I don't know if they could have done that for 90 minutes. I think they served their purpose. I think all of the subs served their purpose. And I actually think Slot got it right again, which is something that we've talked about before. But to see him be bold enough to pull Salah when he wasn't having a good game, putting on Elliott after, I mean, we've barely seen Elliott, barely. And for him to have that goal, I mean, it looks like a masterstroke now. I don't know if he intended it that way, but yeah, like, wow.
I mean, Chris, we gotta talk about a contentious refereeing point that happened in the game. I can't help but notice, though, that with the power of hindsight, that the notes I have on either side of this contentious refereeing decision are just great saves by our wonderfully handsome goalkeeper. A long shot from Hakimi, saved by Alisson, no problem. Long shot by Kvaratskhelia, saved, parried by Alisson. Trent clears it out. But in between, do
you think it's the Alice band that's making him go back to his normal levels?
The little hairband?
The headband that he stole from Szoboszlai?
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's like Samson. He's grown his hair and got a bit of an Alice band. That's all he needed. Maybe that's the
one
trick.
Of those.
Yeah, might make you a good presenter.
I mean, you son of a bitch.
Boom! There you go, Ashley. I've got me one in.
All right, Kev, I'm going to come to you on this instead. Chris. No, Chris, I mean, the ball's played over the top, and Barcola gets in behind, and Kanate puts a bit of a shoulder into him. It's outside of the box, shoulder. So it's never going to be a penalty. Is that a red card for you, Chris?
I think it falls into the I've seen them given. I think the ref sends him. I don't know if VAR overturns it. It falls into one of those on the field positions. The fact that Rio Ferdinand and McCoy were going berserk over it was great. So I quite enjoyed that. I think he's tried to go short and just leading the ball. He's probably got a bit too far and probably just about got away with it. But yeah, I must admit, I was nervous. But they must decide they're going to stick with. There seems to be a thing this year. They stick with on-field decisions unless they think it's a howler. So he probably, I would say, was a little bit lucky. Apparently, Paul Merson was absolutely apoplectic over it, which again is even better because then you've got away with something.
I mean, Kev, there's a fair few people in our chat here who I would presume are pretty biased and blinkered Liverpool fans saying that's a red, definitely a red. I mean,
Yeah, we got to really we've
I
got
don't
to
think it was like the clearest red you've ever seen.
I did.
If it was given, you wouldn't have queried it.
I would, yeah, but I don't know.
Well,
I did. He was nowhere near the ball, and he was right between his shoulder blades.
I don't know if he was right between his shoulder blades. I think he
What
got him on the
felt-
back of the
to the left
shoulder.
or right?
It wasn't like he put it right into the clear part of his back. Actually, did you see?
Fine. Like, if it had been given, I would have 100% been like, yeah, sure, that's fine.
Ashley, did you see the red card that Kubarzi got for Barcelona today?
I did not.
Okay. Did anybody see the red card that Kubarzi got for Barcelona today?
No. Is it very similar, is it?
It's a sliding in tackle from behind that he doesn't get the ball, but it's in the same sort of spot. Like, I think it's a red card too. But hey, can't help it if I'm lucky. I can't help it if I'm lucky. We move on.
You'd rather be lucky than good. Like I said, it's a red card all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. And you're screaming for it if that's Salah going in and one-on-one with
Salah never gets that call. That being said, Salah never
nobody
gets that call.
Yeah, it's just one of them. I would be hopping off the walls if that was going the other way.
But we've seen that type of challenge this year not be given as a red. I think the one for Chelsea on Jota.
I think do you know what I think actually? In all fairness, I think European referees in Champions League games, in games like this, they genuinely ref the occasion and the game. And I just cannot see any way how that isn't a red card and how VAR aren't telling him it's a red card, because he is completely wrong side of the ball. Dembele is clearly ahead of him. He's nowhere near the ball. He's not even making a genuine attempt to get the ball.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it because I only saw the one like live action.
Yeah.
I didn't see any sort of really clear pullback or any like really
no, it wasn't. It was literally bang.
It was the force in the back. That's why I could see it given.
Sort of one of those things that falls into the gray area of like shoulder to shoulder. I don't know. Like,
I mean,
yeah.
I think the difference that at least what Matt's saying, it seems like the other one was a tackle. I feel like a tackle. Gives, that gives the referee something to actually look at. I feel like shoulder to shoulder is a little bit more iffy, but
Chris Hocklear is making the point. It isn't clear if we're debating it. Mate, I'm sorry, we're as biased as fuck, all right? And I guarantee you, we are as biased as you will ever get.
Yeah. So to interpret for you, Chris, because I speak this language, when one of us says, well, I think I've seen it given, that means it's a red card. And
we're just trying to find an excuse. That's all we're trying to
I know. And to clarify, I don't give a fuck. I'll take every bit of luck that we get. Let all the opposition fans piss and moan and cry about how lucky we got, about how if that was their team, it would be a red card, about how this in years past that was a red card against them. I don't care. I don't care.
Look at Arsenal last night. There was Skelly to be should have gone, but he gets away. He gets away with it, and his wasn't even that was a clear yellow that I've seen.
Skelly again?
Yeah. He got yellowed for yanking someone back, and then 2 minutes later he clipped someone. And it would have been his second yellow, and they didn't give it, and then Arsenal subbed him off.
I honestly think the referee tonight, I thought he had a pretty good game overall. He let the game flow, and he didn't want to get his card out as when he could have. I mean, the crowd did well. The crowd did well to get Virgil booked. They were on his case right from the very start, and rightly so, because I think the home fans should always be doing that. We should be doing that a lot more. Because sides come to Anfield all the time and eat the clock. Absolutely eat the clock. You watch what Jordan Pickford does for Everton when he comes to Anfield. He will eat the clock. And we're very quiet about it in the Premier League. The Premier League clubs are generally very quiet about it. PSG fans weren't, and PSG fans got Virgil booked for it. But yeah, I think that was probably the only questionable decision really on the night. Actually, no, there was one for us, and I think in the second half, at the start of the second half, I think it was Diaz was running through, and Pacho, he was running through to the ball on the keeper, and Pacho stuck an elbow out and just blocked him and knocked him to the ground. I just put a comment in like, ref, hello? He clearly just took him out there. But look, you're not going to get those either. I mean, in fairness, if you're not going to give a red card for an elbow on the back, you're not giving a penalty for that.
And then, I mean, Ashley, what becomes basically an hour-long list of Alisson with the words A+++++ beside it. I don't know how they don't score on a half an hour. I mean, it's a 1v1. Dembele's in. I mean, this is something we've lauded Alisson for. It's got to be 40, 50 times now in the last couple of years for his 1v1 saves. The ball pinballs around, it comes to Barcola, and he skies it over the top, and it's like, holy shit. It was about at that point, Ashley, that I started going, just get the halftime at 0-0. Just get the halftime at 0-0.
It was a half of it was just a half of attrition where you were just sitting there, like taking your medicine, defending really well. I mean, that was an incredible shot. It was a series of like, oh my God moments where I was sitting watching and edge of my seat. Any one of those could have been a goal. I don't know how we got away with not conceding a goal in that moment. And I agree. My notes are just shot saved, like every single time. And it's underlined like 3 or 4 times. He was very much the holy goalie today. Like that is the best performance that I have seen from him this season, if not in general. Like he was outstanding. And I know we were talking about camera saves, and there were a few in there that were camera saves, but there were a few that weren't. Like 6 minutes later, there's a Kvaratskhelia shot. It's down low. It's through the legs. There's a deflection, and he saves. And it's incredible. Like he was on it, and he was the difference maker today. And I have no problem with Luis Enrique saying that Alisson was the best player. He was absolutely the best player. No issue with that whatsoever.
That save second half's ridiculous.
The what?
The one that I thought he was going to bend it in the far corner, and he tips it. Yeah, that was brilliant.
That was a great
There were a few in there that like I had to slow-mo it down to see if he got fingertips to it, and he did. And I'm like, I have no idea how he got there. But like that was the Alisson that we know and love. That was prime Alisson that was back tonight, and I haven't seen that this year. And it was the perfect time to have him show up like that.
Yeah, I've just now realized that given what day it is, that Alisson, being the devout religious man he is, has given up conceding goals for Lent. He's just decided that's what he's giving up for Lent. Absolutely fantastic. There's a few chippy fouls towards the end of the half, Chris. I mean, Pacho stands on Jota's foot. We get a deep free kick, and then Diogo Jota almost controls it incredibly. And then from the corner, there's a flick-on header that eludes Mo at the back post. And then just when it looks like we're having a little bit of a rally, Gravenberch puts in a fucking horrible headed pass attempt, and they have the ball again, and the whistle blows for halftime. And I mean, seriously, it was, how have we survived that? Lucky to get in at 0-0, and just praise for them, because we got absolutely played off the park in that first half.
Yeah, they were really good. You know, we were happy to get in at halftime. The Jota chance, I think he has to hit that first time. I don't think he's got time to control it. And I think an informed Jota does go for that first time. To me, Jota in front of goal looks really short of confidence. And in terms of the Van Dijk header, yeah, it just eludes Salah. I thought that was going to be the perfect tap-in, smash and grab. I mean, that did come a bit later, which was even better. But yeah, I was pleased to get in at half-time. All I was thinking was, I'm fine with that. We're going to have to sit back, we're going to hold back, defend. My only frustration tonight was, on the ball, we were just sloppy. Because we had, when we're talking about the second half, 2 or 3 breakaways where we were almost 3-3, and the final ball was woeful. Just absolutely woeful. I mean, all the front 3 just were off today. And look, that can happen. You know, there's also an element of players also just sometimes have off games, you know, and you have to sometimes suck it up. What's been really good today is, yes, players had off games, but the guys that came off the bench were the difference makers in many different ways. And that's the positive of Liverpool this season, is generally we've found a way, whether that's getting it done with the starting 11 or the bench. And this time the bench and the manager's tweaks got Liverpool over the line, which is really good.
Yeah, it's a comment I say from earlier from BioIntegra and Lace AC. Only the defense and subs came out with credit tonight, and they really did. I mean, you walk away with a clean sheet against a team as good as that, as dangerous as that, and the substitutes for the goal.
The only thing I'd just add to that is, when you got a side literally Gergen pressing you like that. Like we used to do on the clock for years. You're forcing them to make decisions on the ball that they don't want to make at that time. So it's like, it's no surprise that we turned over the ball so often. It's because of the pressure and the press that they were under, you know, and it's going to happen. It's designed to do that. And you don't face it off. When you don't face it often, it's a problem, especially in this kind of a game, in that atmosphere, under this pressure and knockout football as well. It's different. A lot of these guys would have come under that in training, you know, playing under Klopp when they're pressing, of how to get out of it and how to manage it. But at the same time, PSG are really good at it and they're really aggressive at it. I think for the second leg, we'll be better prepared for it. And we'll probably have better plans in place for how to get around it, because it's different. It's different when you're playing. See, this is the other difference between European football and domestic league. This is the first time we play PSG in God knows how long, and odds are we might not play them again for a few years after the second.
It's the fifth time we played. It's only the fifth time in the history we played them.
Exactly, and they're kind of unique in what they do, you know. So it's like when you can analyze it as much as you want, and you know you can watch the videos and try to replicate what they do. But when you've come up against it, you'll be that much more streetwise when it comes to the second leg. So I fully expect us to be better under that kind of pressure in the second leg. But I don't think they'll change. I think they'll do exactly the same. They'll try to do exactly the same in the second leg. I have no doubt in my mind.
I don't think that what Slot set out to do was that different from what we actually achieved tonight.
No.
Like, obviously, there's plenty of work that needs to be done in the final third. Our forward line just was not connecting today. Mo Salah had a stinker. Some of the passes he was putting through just didn't make the most out of the moments that we did have. But in terms of defensively, like, it was very shades of City. I mean, their players are so much more effective and so much more dangerous than Doku is. And I think that's the difference that you saw today, was like they actually had an end product. But in general, it looked like this is what Slot set out to do. You know, and I sent you guys a message, like, I think at halftime, where I was like, do we do more of the same in the second half? And that's what we did. Like, he didn't really change it up that much. He brought on some subs. He made some fresh legs, you know, fresh leg decisions. But, you know, he set out to be kind of conservative. This was an away game at a big, challenging European stadium against a really good team. And I think, you know, I don't know what the tactics are going to be like in the second game. I don't know what Slot's going to do. I think having more data and more resources to review and to look at, I think is going to be helpful. But I don't think that this was a failure. I just think that there were certain players that did not step up to the plate the way we wanted them to.
I think attacking wise, I think that's bang on. And I think anybody that watched that game would tell you that our attack, which is normally vaunted. And I mean, I jokingly said after the Newcastle game that Mo Salah's in the middle of a crisis because he hasn't scored in one game. It's now 2 games he hasn't scored in. It is a genuine crisis. But you said Ashley
got out Southampton on Saturday.
Yeah, I know. It's if you got a triple captain left in FPL, might not be a bad one for you. But Ashley, you were saying that like it felt like this was the plan that we set out with to do, and it was what I for certainly said, because I know what I said after the Man City game, but I'm pretty sure some of you also said it as well, that the tactic was kind of like, well, if Jeremy Doku wants to beat Trent all game and create nothing from it, then feel free, go ahead. And I mean, Hustlebones replying to Washu in the chat says Trent lost 80% of his duels and lost possession 15 times, more than anyone else in the team besides Mo on his worst day. But I mean, he got skinned a bunch of times. But Chris, like in that Man City game, Jeremy Doku can beat Trent 500 times in a match if we win. And we won. And I agree with what Ashley was saying, was like it was clearly a tactic from Arne Slot to absorb pressure, let them have the ball. Like they are a team that likes to dominate the ball anyways, but we've shown the ability to let the other team have possession and be clinical in our chances that we get. Because what was the final shots? I think 28-2 in favor of them.
If I'm honest, defensively, I thought Trent was fine. I think I can remember Bocoli skipped past him a couple of times, but guess what? He's a winger. That's going to happen. Even Diaz skipped past some of their fullbacks a couple of times, but I thought he did well. I thought he followed the runners. Clever pass, clever little interceptions for corners. I thought in general he defended well. I think on the ball he was a bit average, but quite frankly, there weren't many that weren't tonight. I thought it was a tough night for Robbo, but I'll be honest, I don't think that's a reflection on Robbo, and people will try and talk about Robbo decline and all that sort of stuff. He was against Dembele, and Dembele was just unreal form-wise.
He's found his form. And
I think peak Robbo, pick a peak left back, would have struggled with Dembele tonight. He was just really good. And he's one of those rare people who's comfortable going inside or outside. Doesn't matter which foot he's on. He's just... And there aren't that many of them who are comfortable on both feet like that. So, look, I actually thought defensively the back four did fairly well. I think, they had to, because at times we were overrun. That's just how they played. I mean, the second half was mad. Second half went a bit basketball, which I didn't know if that suited us or not, to be honest, because it was you attack, we attack. I felt it suited them more because when we attacked, we kept giving the ball away. So it wasn't the best layout, but I felt things settled down a bit more when we brought some of the subs on. I thought Jones coming on settled things down. I thought he covered Robertson more, and he does that thing which a lot of Liverpool fans hate, but I think we needed to get held onto the ball a bit, and we actually needed that. And then simple passes. Darwin at least gave us an out ball and was a pain and pissed off Donnarumma, which is always good. And then I think Kev messaged us, Endo was just Endo, and I think his first touch was just a big tackle. He went, sometimes it's just what you need.
The one that him and Neves had, the 50-50 collision on 82 minutes,
which he should have got a free kick for, because he gets the ball
but
first.
I mean, it was like they both just shook hands and went nice, good play, and carried on from there.
Very James Milner, wasn't it?
Yeah. Kev, we're going to come on to the subs and the goal, obviously. But before that, it is going to be the Alisson Becker appreciation corner, because, my God, Kev, it's incredible. So Ashley's got some stats here. His 9 saves against PSG tonight were both the most on record, which I believe is since 2003-2004, by a Liverpool goalkeeper in the Champions League, and the Brazilian's most in any match for the club in all competitions. And there was another one, which is, I think he had...
Clean sheet record, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's took over Pepe Reina's clean sheet record in the Champions League, so I think he's got...
20... I didn't see that one. Okay, I'll take that.
He's got 20, I think he's got 22, I think. So he's on 22 clean sheets in the Champions League, which is a record for Liverpool, which was held by Pepe Reina. That's nice. It's just unusual it not being a Mo Salah ticking a record off. But that might be next week.
Yeah, I mean, no goalkeeper has made more saves while keeping a clean sheet in a Champions League game this season than Alisson Becker. And then this is a non-Ashley statistic, which I shouldn't share, but I mean, it's the man. It's an impronounceable name, but Liverpool have beaten the reigning champions of England, France, Germany, and Spain this season, and we have not conceded a single goal. Slot ball at its finest. Now, not all of those, Kev, are Alisson Becker clean sheets, because Kelleher was definitely in there for some of those. But Kev, I mean, do you have a pick? Which one was your favorite? Because there's just a litany of saves that this guy makes that completely saved the game and possibly the tie for us.
There was one that was, I can't remember who did it or who took the shot, but it ended up being low and down to his right, and it was creeping in. The one that that Ashley was talking about, I think, was from outside the box, right foot curler. Looked like it was going into the side net, and then he got a hand to it. That's a brilliant save. His anticipation tonight was brilliant. The one thing I'll say about the PSG with all the shots, I think Chris Hockley made the point earlier in the chat, most of the shots were from outside the box. Credit to the back four for that, because you're forcing PSG to take shots from outside the box. Looks really good, but in fairness, you expect Alisson to be saving most of those from outside the box because his anticipation is so good. He reads where if you're good enough, and Alisson is good enough, you can read where the ball is going from the body shape of the player taking the shot. So that's your first step straight away. And from there, you're just backing yourself to be able to make the ground up. And he's always been quick across the ground. His footwork and his anticipation and ability to read the game is better than anyone. I honestly think he has been for a while. He's the best keeper in the world, has been for years. But he's also got that calmness on the ball when you need him, when you need to play the ball back to him. You know that he's safe as houses. His decision-making on the ball is really good as well. So it is like having an extra outfielder. You know, he's not Ederson, but he's as good, or he's nearly as good as Ederson with the ball at his feet. So all in all, I was delighted with his performance. But this is why you pay the big bucks for top keepers. You know, they don't grow on trees. You could count on one hand the amount of keepers that are close to his level in world football. Thibaut Courtois is one. You Alisson, Timo, Oblak.
Still?
Ter Stegen. And that's about it. No, that's it. I wouldn't put. I mean, Manuel Neuer in his palm, 100%. But that's it. The rest are looking up at this guy. He's unbelievable.
Yeah,
you know, without doubt, single best keeper I've seen playing for Liverpool, and I'm just about old enough to remember the end of Jake Emmons.
And Jonathan, being the chat comic relief for the night, pointing out that Ramsdale.
I'm not even tempting fate, just in case we got him at the weekend.
That's good. Couldn't you say Pickford? And then we could have got away with that.
In fairness, it's like he's got to turn into prime Lev Yashin at the weekend and have one of those fucking days now. Thanks, Jonathan. It's all your fault.
Yeah, way to go.
Yeah, my only
Gav behind the scenes here pointing out that Reaction Extra is a new show that's coming out on Patreon. So it is dropping live tomorrow at 10 a.m. So that is going to be myself and Gav going through the highlights from the game. So it will be pre-recorded as a live drop on Patreon. So if you are a YouTube member or you're thinking of becoming a member or you just like what we're doing here on the channel, we're making the switch over from YouTube membership to Patreon memberships on the 18th of March. We're starting to roll out some of the stuff we're looking at doing on Patreon already. This morning, there was a drop that came out at, I think that was 1 p.m. Irish English time. It was lovely. It was 7 a.m. for me, about Magico Gonzalez. And I'd never heard of this guy before. I know, Kev, like you were there this morning. Had you ever heard of Magico Gonzalez, who played for Cadiz before?
Nope. Yeah. Nope. And the only thing I'll say is I remember the Hungary versus El Salvador game in the 82 World Cup. And the only reason I remember it is because I was 10 years old. It was the first time I was watching a World Cup, summer holidays. I was at home. I watched every game. And that one wasn't on TV. It was on at the same time. I think, if I remember, it was whatever game was on, it was a clash of games, and it wasn't shown. And gutted. But yeah, no, didn't have a clue who he was. But enjoyed a good hour in work today on my break. Watching some brilliant YouTube videos. I encourage anyone, if you have access to it, go and watch it. Just go and chill, relax, enjoy it.
Yeah, so this was the first in a new series of shows that's coming out on Patreon, which is some of the things that we can do on Patreon with live recorded stuff or pre-recorded stuff that then gets dropped. So when it came out live at 1 p.m. for Kev, 7 in the morning for me, it would have been, I guess, 8 in the morning for Ashley on the East Coast. You're still able to have a live chat like it's a live show, but Shawnee and Gav, who were on the show, it was pre-recorded, so they obviously can't interact with the chat. But it was absolutely great and showed some of the clips of this guy, and it was just, I don't know if anybody's ever loved dinking a keeper more than Magico Gonzalez. It was just absolutely outrageous stuff. But Reaction Extra will be the same sort of idea, but it will be with the highlights from today's game. So that tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. will drop live on Patreon for our members. So hopefully you guys like that as well too. Ashley, it's your turn. Just talk about the goalkeeper.
I mean, it came out of nothing. I mean, we had some really interesting subs. I think that we've talked about the fact, obviously there was Diaz that came off for Nunes and Jota that came off for Jones, or whatever iteration of that you want to do. And then we saw Gravenberch come off, who looked a little bit tired today. I think he did a lot of work. You saw Endo come on. And then you had the big call of pulling Salah, who did not have the greatest game. And you had Elliott come on. We haven't really seen Elliott. To have him come on, that was his first touch. The goal was his first touch. It was 47 seconds that he was on the pitch. And credit where credit is due. Nunes held that ball up. He was the one that made that pass. Elliott had an immaculate first touch. His shot was down low. I think it was right out of the reach of Donnarumma. I think Alisson saves that. Donnarumma got some fingertips to it, but I think Alisson saves it. I'm so happy for both of those players to be involved in a goal like that because they both needed that so much. And the way that every single one of our subs came in today and stepped up in a way that we've kind of demanded on this show multiple times. We've said, this is your opportunity, seize your chance, and they haven't. And we saw, we slated pretty much all of these players in that Plymouth game for not stepping up in every single one. It was like night and day from that game to see them come in today. And Nunes wasn't the most effective player in the world, but the fact that he contributed, I think, does so much for his confidence. And Elliott just, again, for coming out of the cold, I think all of us have kind of said we wish we could have seen him a little bit more often. I personally think that he can still contribute to this team. I'm just so happy for him. And yeah, I mean, for someone that's 22 next month, I mean, there's still a lot of football ahead of him. I don't think that, I think that Slot probably has an idea of, what he wants going forward. I don't know if he fits those plans, but, I'm happy for him to have that moment.
Yeah. Just to clarify something, Veranda Cheese here is saying he heard a rumor that the Talkin Kop are releasing a colander this year. I don't know how much straining you need to do or how many noodles that you've boiled you need to get the water off of that would require a Talkin Kop colander. But I mean, the fact that you can't wait to see Gavin a Christmas G-string and Santa hat, that's completely fine. You're able to do whatever you want to do, Veranda Cheese, including spell words.
Don't kink shame him.
I'm not kink shaming. I'm spelling shaming. Is what I'm doing.
I love the idea of a specialty Liverpool colander just for noodles.
I can't wait. It'd be amazing.
Just as effective as catching as Alisson. It would be great.
There's going to be an Etsy market for the Talkin Kop, selling nothing but Talkin Kop branded household items. Chris, I was fine with a 0-0 and coming on here and talking about good aways and, you take the tie, it's halftime of the, it's halfway through the tie. We go back to Anfield and we have the advantage. And this is why it pays off to, finish top of the Super League of the Champions League so that you get the second leg at home, blah, 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 blah. And then we just fucking score and it's great. It's just like, the cat that catches the canary sort of smile on, I believe, all of our faces because it takes so much of the edge off of being outplayed. PSG outplayed us in terms of looking more dangerous. But at the end of the day, the score is them 0 and us 1.
Yeah, mentally, that could have a big effect on PSG. Because, listen, we've been on the receiving end that where you've played really well. And then you come away and go, we played really well, but we lost 1-0 or we drew 1-1. We've all been through that. It does wreck your head. So it's good for that. I mean, listen, some of the chat, people are entitled to their opinion. I've seen some saying they're embarrassed. It's a hard watch. It's, that saved the season. Don't mention the subs, because, Slot did this. Honestly, maybe I'm getting old, but I've seen this sort of game before. This is what you have to do sometimes to win the big cup. You sometimes have to ride your luck. And the manager, you've got to give him credit for his subs because all the subs he brought on made Liverpool better. And also his last sub scores the winning goal, and it's set up by the other guy we brought on. So, and it was all started by an Alisson kick. So, all the key players are in there. And listen, I think Donnarumma should save it. After I'd screamed the house down and we'd scored, when I saw the replay, I was like, a top goalkeeper saves that. Do you know what I mean? I it's a good hit. He hits it well. He puts it where you want it to go. But I do think a top keeper should save that. I think that's a lapse in concentration by him, which sort of sums them up a little bit because, it'd be interesting how they react to that, because I think that's knocked a little bit of arrogance out of them, because it was almost a little bit of "how dare you," which is I'm all for. Listen, they're the sort of wins you love. Big European away wins. They're so hard, and
they're needed sometimes. They are.
sometimes,
like you can't win this round in this game. You can lose it though. And if we were too offensive, we could have quite easily lost this. Like, we were defensive and they still had 20 something shots on our goal. Like, imagine if we weren't defensive, what that would have looked like. Like, we would have been torn to shreds. And like, I get it. Like, we're so used to Liverpool being so dominant, and to have a team be the dominant force against us and really look like they're worth every single minute of it is hard. And I think what we did tonight was exactly what was needed tonight. I don't like watching our team do that per se. Like, I'm glad we have that in us, but I would much rather have our team go out and attack and score loads of goals. But sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes you need this version of a team, and it takes just as much mental effort to do this than it does to go forward and score 4 goals. I know it's not what we want to see sometimes, but it is needed to get through this competition. And I genuinely think that if we had gone and been really attacking, they would have torn us to shreds.
I mean, with the way that our attackers were playing today, I think that's completely realistic to say. I will disagree with you, Ashley. I am more than happy for us to play exactly this way and exactly this result for another 10, 6, 8, 9, 19 more games, I think, is our maximum left in the season. I mean, Kev, maybe I'm just crazy because I don't want to know how my heart rate was behaving during the second half of that game, where it looked like we were going to get fucking blown away. But at the end of the day,
the longer it was going on, the more that they were taking shots from outside the box, I was fine with that. Because at the end of the day, you back Alisson more often than not. I was more worried when they were making runs and dribbles into the box that someone would leave a leg out. Because Ashley is dead right in what she was saying. The mental strength, the mental discipline it takes to be able to play this game that way and not make a lunge-in tackle, not leave a lazy leg in, be really disciplined in what you're trying to do is difficult. It really is difficult. And we did that really well. I mean, look, they had chances, yes, 100%. But I thought in the main, Alisson had the game of his life. I think he pretty much come out and says that himself. But I don't mind playing that way. If side's going to have pot shots from outside the box, 20, 30 yards, good, fine. I don't think it'll affect PSG one jot. They'll look at that performance. They'll look back at it, knowing that they could have, a few decisions here and there, a few better passing decisions in the final third, and they're in. I don't think there's any such thing as a safe scoreline against this lot either. I just think you're going to have to play this game again on Tuesday night, and we'll get chances. And
first goal's vital next week, isn't it, Kev?
Not really. I mean, I say, look, if we get 2 up, they have to come back, score 3.
That's what I mean. I think they're putting that pressure on them helps.
But I think they're capable. That's the thing. I think they're capable of it, and it's not like you're playing against, say, most average, good European sides. But if you're against, say, a Dortmund or an Inter Milan or Benfica or something like that, and you go take a 1-0 lead back to Anfield and you score 1, you're 2 up, 20 minutes gone. You'd say, yeah, that's enough. That we'll manage this out from here. Against this lot, I don't think they care. I think they'll just keep going. And this is what I said earlier on. Someone said in the chat they won't do this at Anfield. They will do exactly the same at Anfield. They'll try to dominate the ball. Yeah, they'll try to dominate the ball. They'll press like lunatics. And they're in the same league position as us, where they can afford to rest their key players to make sure they're fully ready for Tuesday night. Because for PSG, for Paris Saint-Germain, especially now there's massive investment going into the other club in Paris, which is Paris FC, their whole purpose is the Champions League. They're expected to win the domestic league. Everything is on the Champions League. So I fully expect them to go the same way on Tuesday night. But look, when it comes to the goal, Darwin, unbelievable. He was an absolute menace all night long to Marquinhos, and he pulled on Marquinhos specifically. Did really well, won his header, but had to compose. I thought he was going to take a pot shot because, look, most players would from there. Last couple of minutes of the game, the ball was there to have the hit. But no, the composure to play the pass, and it was the right pass. It was the right weight to allow Harvey to run onto it. He was able to get his body shape around on his left foot. Keeper should save it, 100%. He gets a good hand to it. It's really poor from him. And that's the difference. Tonight was ultimately the difference in the two sides, the two keepers. Donnarumma, I think, went to PSG at the time. It was a world record fee for a goal. World record wages for a goalkeeper, because I think he went there on a free. His wages were astronomical. But Alisson Becker is head and shoulders the best keeper in the world. And someone said Mamardashvili would like to have a word. Mamardashvili can sit on the bench next season and watch and learn, because he will be our number one.
Benefit him quite a bit. I don't mean that as I'm not joking. I think Mamardashvili has some qualities that, obviously he has qualities that we want in a keeper, but you can learn so much from being under Alisson. Look at Kelleher. Look at how much he's advanced from being the understudy. And Kelleher has a wonderful repertoire of his own, but he has learned so much of his technique from Alisson. We sometimes forget. Sometimes we say, "Oh, is Alisson done?" Today's performance says he's not done. He's not done.
It's he has returned, I'll tell you that much. I mean, I absolutely love the comment from Real Talk. Can you imagine how the Liverpool team are feeling right now? Last minute, back against the wall win. Liverpool are going to take some stopping now. That is the sort of positivity I want to get behind. I'm going to fire through the quotes that Ashley's got for us, which isn't too many today. And then we'll come around. We can skip over who man of the match is, because if you're not giving Alisson man of the match after today, you're not allowed to do ratings or awards anymore. Ever. You're done. So we'll just need an honorable mention, and it could do better, because Alisson was so head and shoulders the best player on the pitch today. To the point where Alisson, after the game, says, "I think that's the best performance of my life so far." And that so far, I fucking adore. Harvey Elliott, about Alisson, I've got no words that he's allowed to say on TV. He is unbelievable, the best in the world. He keeps us in so many games. Tonight is my opportunity to repay this man. Without him, I don't know where we'd be. Ali again saying, "I think it's a really good team. We still have one more tie to come. We know we have to improve for the game at home. We go through. We are going to play teams with quality as well. We have to recognize PSG as well. It was a tough night for us with a happy end." Arne Slot saying, "I think there was a lot of similarities like our game against City. We faced a team so good in ball possession. I knew I said before the game we would not dominate ball possession here. The only thing I can blame my players is the 3, 4, 5, or 6 times we played through them, and our last touch should have been better." It was really.
It was probably double digits, to be fair.
Yes, he's being quite nice there. Arne says, "They have so much pace up front. Midfielders, so much quality. The only way to play over here was to defend the way that we did." Talking about his goalkeeper, Arne says, "He was outstanding." I want to say that like Jurgen Klopp. Outstanding. He was outstanding in the second half. Most shots were outside the box, but it's their quality, the way they hit the shots. Luis Enrique saying, "My feelings right now is difficult to think about the match. I think we deserve to win. Clearly, we created a lot of chances. When you think their best player was Alisson, football is something like that, but we are ready for Liverpool." Liam M pointing out that Luis Enrique has borrowed Arsenal's deserve to win-o-meter, which, only had us at 6% to deserve to win-o that match. Ashley, Alisson is man of the match, unquestionably. I will hear no arguments against it. Who is your honorable mention and should do better?
This might be unpopular. I thought Trent did really well today. I know there were some
She took my answer.
I know there were some stats that were thrown up there about him getting beat and stuff. I thought defensively he was actually really good. The quality of player he was up against, the number of times he tracked back, I genuinely just think that he deserves a little bit of praise. I'm usually very hard on him. And today, that felt like a true Trent defensive performance. Could do better. I thought Jota just looked off today. And I think, I don't know. I think our entire forward line looked off. For some reason, he's the one that I've picked. I think there are others that could easily be picked. I'll save those for the other people here. I just thought that he didn't look effective at all. He didn't hold the ball up the way I wanted him to. He didn't have like the final pass. And again, this is ubiquitous across the entire front line. But I don't know. He's the one that I just picked out of a hat. There's no reason I picked him over the other three, but you guys can have the other two.
What about me? Guess I can go fuck
Well,
myself.
you can do whatever you
said-
want. You're the host. You can make up your own rules.
Actually, you said this might be controversial, and just judging from the chat, it is. There's a very stark divide. Some
There's
people think
obviously some people that think that he did horribly. I thought he was okay.
I still think with Trent, because he's not signed his new contract now, he can't do any right. Even when he plays all right. And I agree with Ashley. I thought Trent was an honourable mention today. But I just think now, unless he signs a new contract, you're going to have plenty to just say he's shit. And that's regardless of what he does. But, it's the way of the world.
Yeah. Well, that's your honorable mention, Chris. It's locked in. You can't change it now. Who is your should do better?
Ashley's right. Any of the front three, really. I'll say Diaz because he just didn't take anyone on and he played too many horrible square balls to get them on counters in the first half. It was annoying. It was one of those games where I was generally going, I really wish Gakpo was fit. It was generally a game where I was thinking Gakpo would have been much better for this game. But look, alas, he's injured, so hopefully he's back soon.
Yeah. Well, and luckily we don't have a manager that rushes players back the second they're 50% ready to recover from an injury. Kev, your honorable mention and your should do better, please.
Honorable mention is a centre-back pairing because I think they were a pair tonight. Virgil led the defence, marshaled the line really well. I think him and Konate, there was nothing that really came in the air, but they had a lot of corners and we cleared pretty much all of them. And when we did, the line got out and we defended the second ball really well. The only time that we didn't, we caught him offside. But in the main, I thought the two centre-backs did well. I think the full-backs defensively, look, you want them to win more of their 1v1s, 100%. But credit where it's due.
Quality that they had.
Yeah,
I know that Trent's numbers are not elite today. I don't think that anyone made him look silly though. And I think that we've seen in games gone by, Trent get roasted. Absolutely, it's like he's in a different time zone sometimes. I thought that there were times today we needed him and he stepped up.
Yep.
Yeah. For that.
No, I think the only one that really got done big time was early in the first half, as I said earlier, was Andy Robertson. Went out to lunge in on Dembele and he just skinned him. And then he skinned McAllister as well. So I think he learned his lesson from that. But I think they could do better. No, it's Salah. I mean, at the end of the day, Chris is right when it comes to Diaz. There was a crossfield pass that Diaz hit was ridiculously stupid. But it's nights like tonight where you need your front three to get you up the pitch and to be able to hold the ball, lay it off, spin in behind, and get on a counter. For the vast majority of the season, Salah's strength has been really good. I think Nuno Mendes did a really good job.
Looked really good against Salah.
Yeah, he is really good. I mean, Mendes 22. He moved to PSG. He was highly rated. I think he's up there, probably one of the best left backs in world football at the minute. And he looks like a defender. He doesn't look like a left back who just gets forward like Hakimi is on the opposite side. He looks like he loves defending as well. So Salah had a rough night, and he'll come away from that licking his wounds, thinking, "Right, I've got another chance to get you at home," and hopefully he'll take it on. I think he will. I think the home leg, Salah will be better prepared for what Mendes brings because I don't think he'll have ever come up against him. That would have been his first time. It's not like Egypt play against Portugal very often, so. Yeah. Salah will be better prepared. Like a lot of our lads, they'll come on better for the second leg for tonight. But at the same time, the tie is wide open.
I will point out that I felt that Nuno Mendes looked a little bit like just a bigger and more talented Ryan Brewster. He's got a very Ryan Brewster
young.
face.
He's really young, isn't he? He looks really young.
Yes, he does.
He's 22, but he's got that baby face on him.
Yes. Obviously, I mean, it's Olivier pointed out here, and I kept it up on the screen because it is worth seeing again and again and again. L'Équipe gave Alisson a 10 out of 10. It's the first time that has happened in a long time. They were in awe of Ali. I believe L'Équipe does not give out 10 out of 10s, like unless you score 4 or 5 goals. Like
wasn't there a banner today as well from PSG fans saying don't buy L'Équipe because it just writes shitty articles about anti-shitty articles about PSG, which I thought was quite funny.
Well, then they are going to be able to embolden that claim and bring it out. Send that banner along with their traveling fans because I mean, absolutely outstanding. Honorable mention, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Darwin Núñez because he just...
I so wanted him to score just to watch your reaction.
I wanted him to shoot that ball, and the fact that he didn't and he laid it off to Harvey Elliott and then Harvey scored was like, oh my God. But I wasn't on the post Aston Villa match because I only watched about the last 15, 20 minutes of it, and I was furious with Darwin Núñez after that. But I still think that Darwin Núñez, Diogo Jota, these players that you think are on the outs for Liverpool and might not be here or almost certainly won't be here next year, they have big parts to play in us doing wonderful things this season. And that might be Darwin's story. That might just be it. That might be that goal where if we're lifting Big Ear's number 7 at the end of the season where you go, yeah, we got a 0 all at home against PSG and we went through because you remember Darwin Núñez, he came on as that sub late, in Paris when they absolutely battered the doors down against us and we smash and grab and stole that from us. So I'm delighted for him because he still plays for Liverpool. So as much as I'm not going to be upset that he moves on in the summer, goes to Saudi Arabia, or stays and gets better, I don't care. Because right now, all that matters is this season and winning things and doing wonderful things. And Darwin Núñez helped us do another wonderful thing today because to get away with the 1-0. In terms of need to do better, I mean, it's got to be Mo Salah. He had a chance to play Darwin Núñez in before he scored, before Mo went off. And it was like, he has made so many harder passes this season, and he just basically kicked it right at Marquinhos' feet. It was very upsetting. But other than that, it's all well and good. I'm going to go off and film the reaction extra show with Gab, which very much looking forward to. That is going to drop tomorrow morning on Patreon at 10 a.m. So if you are a member on YouTube and you want to continue going on with Talkin Kop, we are doing bigger and better things over on Patreon. I believe we're putting out 14 shows this week in 7 days, so 2 shows a day. I know I'm involved doing 3 shows on Saturday alone, so we are absolutely upping things.
We're working really hard.
Yes, and I mean, we're not even doing the amount of work that Gav is doing. So, I mean, if you appreciate
the work, a round of applause, honestly.
Yes, if you appreciate the work that's being done on this channel, you really need to give it up to what Gav does to get everything like this done and finished properly. But another member of this channel that hopefully we'll have back on sooner rather than later, Peter Smith. He's in a musical production at the Vicar Street Theatre in Dublin. It's in April and in June. If you want to go in April, too bad. It's sold out because he's playing Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy. The excitement is there for it. So if you're going to be in Dublin in June and you want to support somebody on the show or you just like musical theater, go check out Pete in that show. You can get tickets for that for the shows that are up in June. And also you'll find in the description the link for tickets for that show and also a Vimeo link for the trailer for Pete's movie, Code Red Spain, which is coming out in a couple of months' time, I believe. So Pete has been absolutely busy, which is why if you're a longtime member of the channel, you haven't seen Pete on for a while, it's because he's been busy getting all this work done. So hopefully we get Pete back, even if it's just a quick call in when we're celebrating winning big, shiny silver things at the end of the season, because that's what we are all here for. Kev, anything else before we go?
No, just check out the new shows when they're coming out. Enjoy, comment. Let us know if it's what you want to see, if you want to see more of it. If you've got suggestions on players that you'd like us to do a deep dive on, not current players who are playing, but players from the past. Players that you think didn't get their flowers back in the day and deserve them, just let us know. But yeah, no, here we are. Look, all the moans and groans and bitching and griping, it's a 1-0 win away at a rival. And the tie is alive, and we're taking it back to Anfield, and we go again.
That's right. Ashley, anything else?
Nope. Just this for any haters out there. You know who you are.
You're still not
I'm
watching
just
this.
throwing that
You're
out
still
there.
not watching this. You're still not watching the screen. You're looking off.
You know
You're looking
what?
off to
I
the
don't
side.
care. I don't care.
Keep those eyes. Keep those eyes to the front.
You know
Chris,
who
anything
you
else
are,
before we
is
go?
all I'm saying.
Just FYI, I am hopefully recording a women's show next week with Neil Atkinson and Emma Sanders. I haven't done one for a while, so talk about the Liverpool looking for a new manager and just a bit of a review of the season. And keep your eyes peeled, Patreons, because I am working on a new show with Gav. I'm not quite sure who's going to be on it yet, but I've got an idea for a new show, so me and Gav are going to sit down and support and work on that one as well. So like a bit of a Patreon one coming out soon.
There you go. See, lots of fun things happening for us. But Liverpool have gone to Paris. We've come away with the 1-0. And I just want to point out for anybody that's trying to describe this as a robbery, the dictionary defines robbery as the felonious taking of someone's property from their person against their will by violence or intimidation. And the opportunity to go through to the next round is not PSG's property. We have a big, big say in that. So that's not a robbery. This is football. This is what we're here for. It's finished. PSG, somehow 0. Liverpool, beautifully won. Tuesday, we play the second game at Anfield. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Tune in tomorrow morning for Reaction Extra, myself and Gav going through all the highlights from the games. Thank you to my regular crew for joining me, Ashley, Kevin, Chris. See you guys after the next game. Adios.